Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're journeying to Georgia. Not the U.S. state, but the captivating country.
Yeah.
Right at that crossroads of Europe and
A
Asia.
really unique spot on the map.
And we're looking into its people, specifically their visual tapestry. It's quite unique.
It really is.
Our sources are exploring what makes Georgians look so distinct. It's a look that, sparks fascination, even debate.
Despite all those influences over the centuries, Persians, Greeks, Turks.
Mongols, Russians,
Well,
the list goes on, yet somehow they've kept this distinct appearance.
it's quite remarkable.
So we've gathered a pretty compelling stack of materials, articles, research, historical bits.
Yeah, it mix.
And they all seem to point to this. Georgia's people have this incredible appearance that's just hard to pin down.
Very true. Not easily categorized.
So our mission today, let's unpack this, dig into the key insights.
And try to understand the why, right?
Yeah.
Why this distinctiveness? Well, it's a fantastic case study. I mean, what jumps out immediately from these sources is how the landscape itself, the mountains, the valleys,
Right, the geography.
and its history, as this major trade corridor, how fundamentally that shaped the people.
So it's not just genes, it's place and time interacting.
Precisely. We're going to explore how these factors created not just diversity, but this striking spectrum of traits.
Deeply rooted in heritage, but also constant contact.
Exactly. So get ready for some potential aha moments about why there isn't just one Georgian look.
But more of a mosaic, a whole range of features.
Oh, that's the idea.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with maybe the most obvious thing people notice, eye color.
Good place to start.
Our sources show a lot more variety than you might initially expect for the region. What does the data tell us?
Well, it's quite telling right off the bat. You've got about 55–60% with brown eyes.
Okay, which is pretty common.
Yeah.
Dark brown to lighter amber.
Right. That's sort of the baseline, you could say.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting. A solid 25–30% have hazel or green eyes,
Wow, that's quite high. And concentrated somewhere specific.
particularly in western regions, yeah. Places like San Magrelo and Imereti.
Okay.
And then, maybe even more surprising, you've got 10–15% with gray or blue eyes.
Blue eyes. In Georgia.
Yep. Often found more in those isolated mountain areas. Svaneti, Racha.
Huh. So those numbers alone, they definitely suggest there's more going on than just a single origin.
Absolutely. It points to a complex history.
So what's the thinking behind this variety? Especially the lighter eyes in certain spots. Is it purely genetic lottery or?
It's really where geography meets history, as the historians in our sources emphasize.
Okay.
Think about Georgia's position, right along the ancient Silk Road, for millennia.
A massive corridor for trade and movement.
Exactly. So traders, invaders, settlers, they all passed through, and many stayed. They brought diverse genes with them.
Including for lighter eye colors.
Right. And those traits then persisted, sometimes getting concentrated in those more isolated mountain valleys.
Where there was less mixing with newcomers later on.
Kind of like genetic time capsules in a way. While the dominant brown eyes stayed linked to that really old indigenous Caucasian ancestry.
So it's like layers. Ancient roots plus historical migrations on top.
Beautifully put, a genetic layering effect.
Okay, that makes sense. And this geographic intersection, this layering, it's not just eyes, is it? The sources talk about skin tone, too.
Indeed. It follows a similar fascinating pattern.
How so?
Well, about 65% of Georgians have olive or light brown complexions.
Common in the eastern and southern lowlands, the sources said.
That's right. Areas more exposed to sun, maybe more historical mixing with groups from the south.
Okay.
Then you've got about 25% with distinctly lighter, fairer skin.
And these are often in the same mountain communities, where the lighter eyes are.
Often, yes. Svaneti, Racha again. It reinforces that idea of isolation preserving certain traits.
Interesting. And there was a third group.
Yeah, about 10% have naturally darker, sort of sun-kissed tones.
More common in the west,
Yeah.
near the Black Sea. Yeah.
Exactly. Western Georgia. Humid subtropical climate there, along the coast.
So more tanning potential.
Partly that, and also historically more mixing with various Mediterranean groups coming via the sea. It adds another shade to the palette.
It really is striking how specific these variations can be geographically.
It is.
I mean, the sources describe the scene. Like, in a Tbilisi cafe, you could easily see someone with super pale skin, blue eyes, sitting right next to someone with olive skin, dark curly hair.
And both are completely undeniably Georgian.
Yeah, it just blows up any idea of it, the single definition.
Totally.
So what about hair? Does hair color and texture fit into this picture?
Absolutely. Hair slots right into this diverse mosaic. The general trend is dark, for sure.
Like mostly dark brown or black.
Yeah, around 70%, especially if you look towards the east, like in Kakheti.
Mm.
But again, variety. About 25% have medium brown or chestnut hair.
And does that often go with the hazel or green eyes we talked about?
Frequently, yes.
Yeah.
That combination pops up quite a bit in the sources.
Okay. And the remaining percentage? Is there lighter hair too?
There is. About 5% are naturally lighter haired. We're talking blonde, maybe auburn tones.
Let me guess. Concentrated in the highlands.
You got it. Svaneti and Tisheti are mentioned specifically. Again, those mountain pockets.
It's a really consistent pattern. Okay, so that's color. What about texture? Does that vary too?
It does. As another layer, about 60% have straight hair.
Okay.
Around 30% have wavy hair.
In the last 10%.
Curly. Naturally curly hair. And that texture seems to be a bit more common in western Georgia.
Ah, pointing back to those Mediterranean or Black Sea connections, perhaps?
That's the interpretation, yeah. Different historical inputs bringing different genetic expressions for texture as well as color.
Wow. So across eyes, skin, and hair, you get this incredible range shaped by location, history, trade, isolation.
It's a living map, almost, written onto their appearance.
Okay, let's shift a bit from color and texture. What about physical build?
Yeah.
Frame, height.
Right, the overall physicality. The sources often describe Georgians as having sturdy builds, athletic frames.
Is that just perception, or do the numbers back that up? What about height?
We do have some data. A 2019 study, an anthropometric one.
Measuring body dimensions?
Exactly. It reported the average height for Georgian men is 177 centimeters. That's about 5'9.5"
Okay. And women?
Women average 164 centimeters, so around 5'4.5".
So where does that put them globally?
It puts Georgia slightly above the global average height.
But not super tall like Northern Europeans.
No, not quite that tall. It's more of a distinctive medium height, which, combined with that sturdy build, gives that impression of robustness.
Right, that sturdy athletic frame you mentioned. Is that purely genetic, or are there things going on?
This is where it gets really interesting, the interplay.
Between nature and nurture?
Kind of. There's definitely a genetic component. But nutrition and lifestyle play a huge role.
Like the traditional diet. Exactly. Rich in dairy, nuts, meats, fresh stuff. Historically, that kind of diet supports strong bodies, muscle development.
And the landscape. All those mountains.
That too. The challenging terrain naturally favors strength, endurance, agility. Just getting around requires a certain physicality.
So it makes sense that they excel in certain sports.
It's probably not a coincidence, no. Sports like wrestling, rugby, weightlifting, they require that power and stamina.
So it's genes, environment, diet, culture, all working together.
It's a really holistic picture, a lived physicality shaped over centuries.
Gotcha. But you mentioned variety earlier. Does that apply to build, too? Is everyone sturdy?
Oh, absolutely. That's a fair point. While the general perception is sturdy, you definitely see variations.
Like urban versus rural.
Yeah, maybe leaner frames in some city dwellers compared to the, broader shoulders you might associate with traditional mountain life. It's a spectrum within that general character.
Okay. And speaking of character, what about facial features? The sources describe those as pretty distinctive, too. Very much so. Anthropologists often point this out.
What are some of the key features they note?
Well, prominent cheekbones are mentioned a lot. Often an aquiline nose, slightly curved or hooked.
Like a Roman nose.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
And strong jawlines. These are often seen as sort of hallmarks of, what anthropologists call Caucasian populations.
And that term specifically means people native to the Caucasus region, right? Not the broader, sometimes confusing racial category used elsewhere.
Exactly. That distinction is really important here. We're talking geographically specific traits.
Okay, so these distinctive Caucasian features, do they also vary by region, like everything else we've discussed?
They absolutely do. The regional differences are quite fascinating here, too.
For example?
In the East, faces might tend to be a bit longer, sharper, more angular features overall.
Okay. And in the West?
Closer to the Black Sea, you tend to see softer, maybe rounder profiles more often.
Suggesting different historical mixes again.
That's the interpretation. It reflects both the geography and the history. Mountain isolation, like in Svaneti.
Preserves the sharper, angular features, less mixing.
Seems likely. It helps perpetuate older traits, but then you contrast that with the Black Sea ports. Centuries of trade, intermarriage.
Bringing in those softer, maybe more Mediterranean-looking traits.
Exactly. It introduces them into the gene pool. So this range, it makes Georgians recognizable as Georgian, but never, ever uniform.
You can almost read the history on their faces.
It's like a living history book, yeah.
Okay, so we've got the visual elements, the physical build, the facial features. Let's go deeper. What does genetics tell us about the core of Georgian identity?
Ah, the genetics. This is where the story gets really solid and, frankly, quite profound.
How so?
Genetic studies, especially a key one from 2017, found that Georgians form a really unique genetic cluster, distinct within the wider Caucasus region.
Unique how?
Well, the vast majority, we're talking like 80% of their genetic markers are indigenous to that specific region.
80%, wow.
Yeah, linking them directly back to really ancient populations who've lived there for millennia, maybe even since the last ice age.
That's incredible continuity. So rare.
It really is. Very few places in Europe have that kind of deep connection.
But wait, 80% indigenous? What about the other 20%? We talked about invaders, traders.
Right, and those influences definitely show up in the remaining DNA. About 10–15% traces back to Mediterranean and Middle Eastern sources.
Reflecting those trade routes, empires to the south and west.
Precisely. And then there's a smaller slice, maybe 5–10%, that shows Central Asian and steppe influences.
From migrations or invasions from the east, like the Mongols.
That's the likely connection, yes. So the key takeaway is this blend, a massive ancient indigenous core.
That 80%.
Right, with these significant but smaller layers added over time from different directions.
Which explains why they look distinct from their neighbors.
Exactly. That deep indigenous Caucasian root, combined with those specific external influences, makes them genetically different from, say, Slavic groups to the north or Mediterranean groups further west.
It's like they maintain their core identity despite being right in the middle of everything.
A testament to their resilience, perhaps anchored by the geography too.
This all leads to a really interesting debate, doesn't it? One our sources brought up. Is there actually a typical Georgian look?
Oh, that is a hot topic. It stirs up a lot of discussion, both inside Georgia and for outsiders looking in.
Because the evidence points in so many directions.
Exactly. Some people will argue, yes, the classic Georgian is dark-haired, olive-skinned, strong-featured, maybe drawing on that dominant indigenous look.
Okay.
But then others, especially people from those mountain communities we keep mentioning.
With the later features.
Right. They'll passionately argue that their look, the light hair, the blue or green eyes, is just as Georgian. Maybe even more representative of an older, unmixed lineage.
So it becomes tied up in ideas of authenticity.
It can, yeah. And this even plays out online. The sources mentioned photos of blue-eyed Highlanders, sparking debates, challenging stereotypes about what Georgians are supposed to look like.
It shows how easily we try to simplify, but the reality is complex.
Very complex.
And national identity politics complicates it even more, doesn't it? The sources mentioned the Soviet era.
Ah, yes. That's crucial context. During Soviet times, there was this tendency to lump diverse groups together.
Georgians were just put in a generic Caucasian box.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A bureaucratic label that just erased all this rich local diversity we've been talking about. Flattened it out.
So now maybe there's a pushback against that.
Definitely. Yeah. Today, many Georgians emphasize that diversity itself is the hallmark, that there isn't one single look.
Only a shared heritage expressed in many ways.
Exactly. It's less about finding one image and more about celebrating the whole vibrant mosaic. It's a statement about who they are.
Okay, so we've got the data, the genes, the debates. Let's try to turn this alive a bit more. Make it sensory for you listening.
Good idea. Paint a picture.
Right. Imagine walking through a vineyard, Kakady maybe, during the harvest, sun shining.
Mm-hmm.
You might see a farmer there, olive skin, maybe dark curly hair, tending these ancient vines. And then maybe his daughter is nearby carrying grapes, but she has, say, striking hazel eyes and chestnut hair.
Different features, same family, same place.
Exactly. Now, shift scenes. Picture the high mountains, Sveneti, those incredible stone towers.
Medieval towers, yeah. Very dramatic.
And children are playing nearby. Maybe they have fair skin, really light eyes, blue or gray.
Distinct features. Sharp, maybe.
But still recognizably Georgian in their own way. Angular, strong. It's that visual range right there.
Or think about a celebration. A wedding, maybe down in Batumi, the port city.
Okay, lively scene.
Guests packing the dance floor. Some are tall, broad-shouldered, those sharper faces we mentioned. Others might be shorter, maybe softer, rounder. Features hints of that Mediterranean influence.
A real mix of people.
But then the music swells, that traditional Georgian rhythm. And all that diversity just melts into this shared feeling, shared identity, collective pride.
It's not just about how they look, but how they feel connected despite the differences.
These aren't just abstract facts, it's woven into daily life.
And these glimpses, these scenes, they really highlight something else from the sources. An emotional connection. For Georgians, appearance seems deeply tied to pride. Pride in survival.
That comes through very strongly.
Think about it. Centuries of rule by others, Persians, Ottomans, Mongols, Soviets. Constant pressure.
Yet they held on to their language, their culture.
And their distinctive look in all its variety.
Exactly. So those physical traits, the sharp mountain profiles, the darker southern complexions, the light eyes, the dark hair, they aren't seen as dividing lines.
More like proof of resilience.
That's how it feels, yes. Yeah. Living proof. It reflects this powerful self-image Georgia has. Maybe small on the map, but huge in character. Unbreakable.
I like that line from the sources. Some Georgians say their faces carry the mountains and valleys within them.
It's a beautiful, poetic way to put it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Connecting their looks directly to the land and the history that shaped them.
It really sums up why they look so different.
So wrapping it all up, why do Georgians look so different?
What's the core takeaway?
I think it's this paradox. Continuity and contact. They were isolated enough, thanks to those mountains.
To keep that unique, ancient core identity.
Right. But also open enough, being at that crossroads.
To absorb influences from everywhere.
Exactly. Their faces, their features, they carry echoes of dark hair from the south, lighter eyes from the high mountains, sturdy frames perhaps influenced by steppe peoples, softer features from the Mediterranean coast.
It's all layered together.
Their genetics ground them firmly in the Caucasus, but history kept adding new threads to the tapestry.
So you might look at a Georgian and see something that reminds you of, I don't know, Mediterranean or Slavic or Middle Eastern.
But the reality is it's uniquely Georgian, a specific combination found right there.
Each face tells that complex story. Mountains, empires, survival.
Resilience.
So here's a final thought for you, our listeners, to maybe chew on.
Okay.
Next time you meet someone from Georgia or even see pictures, take a moment. Really look.
Notice the variety.
Yeah. Notice the olive skin right next to the porcelain, the black curls beside the chestnut waves, the deep brown eyes near the hazel or the blue.
See the whole spectrum.
And realize Georgians don't look so different in spite of their history and geography.
They look so different in all that amazing variation.
Because of it. And that's what makes it truly fascinating.